Hi, welcome to Tabletop Talk and Draw. In case you're new, my name is Storn Cook. This is a video series where I talk about classic player archetypes, how to tweak them, how to avoid tropes, how to think outside the box a little bit, and I draw them at the same time and talk a little bit about my art process because I believe there's a lot of overlap between drawing characters and making characters. And today I'm doing my own take on a paladin. Yep, a paladin of love. That seems a little bit different. I have not seen a paladin or cleric who serves a goddess or god of love in a game yet, so let's do one today. So first off, I must explain that I cheated a little bit. That I did these pencils during a coffee sketch and break with another artist named Steve Ellis who lives near me. We get together for coffee and doodle and draw and stuff like that. So I had some time to think about this, and I got the pencils done. One of the things I decided, just art wise, is that I hate drawing ellipses. So I also kind of did the ellipse mechanically with the digital tools. You can see sort of ghosted in behind that buckler there that there's some sort of stray pencil lines and yeah, so I decided that I wanted this guy to be a sword and board guy, but because because I think protection is a big part of love. And I was also thinking about how gods and goddesses of love might not just be about romantic love. Maybe they're about all kinds of things, like, love between comrades and the love of city or nation or something like that. So I think there's a lot of ways to kind of interpret a goddess of love. And whenever I do a paladin or a cleric, I tend to think first of what god they're serving or pantheon they're serving, and sort of the tenor of that pantheon, and how that relates to the character, right? And how, because it a goddess of death or a goddess of death, the cleric is going to have a very different look than a paladin of love. Um, I also decided that I didn't want to go with the typical like John Borman Excalibur era, shiny plate everywhere. I wanted to do something that was a little bit more, um, you know, from the Middle East or maybe the steppes or something like that. And so the drawing that I did, he's kind of in very kind of voluminous clothes and stuff like that. And already I was thinking about the color, and I knew I wanted really warm colors to go along with, of course, the classic is red. Um, for passion, right? I wanted to avoid a lot of heart motifs. I just feel like that's a little bit too much of a cliche. So at this moment in the art, I'm just kind of doing an outline, and this allows me to kind of make that pencil its own selection. And keeping with, and right now I'm starting to work on sort of doing a scale Byzantine type armor, and so I'm doing this on one layer above the pencils, so the pencils still kind of stick through beneath it, and that was very purposeful. I knew I wanted to come back and really darken up those areas, and then work again on top of those dark areas with sort of the lighter scale, and I'm thinking sort of brass, bronzy in color, copper maybe. So, but back to thinking about outside of the box, right? So I decided I didn't want to do a Caucasian. I wanted to do somebody who comes from some other type of culture, and yet is heroic. And I sort of was thinking while I was drawing this that maybe he's charged by the goddess of love to go out into the world and find his one true love, at the same time helping people you know find love and all of its shapes and forms, not just romantic love. I that was really strong in my head, and so yeah, he has a love of life. He has a love of things, and that's why he's got a wine glass in his hand, because I thought that was a way of sort of saying, hey, this guy enjoys a great dinner and good food, and all of those things can kind of combine to be part of his his mission in life. So yeah, I'm just working here on the face, and I keep darkening it up and keep darkening it up, and then going hitting the highlights again. Now he's starting to read a little Caucasian, and part of that is I don't have his hair done. There's no real clothing. There's no color around him, right? So that flesh tone is kind of sitting on its own. Wanted to give him some kind of curly hair. Um, so yep, we're just moving along here. Yeah, let's block in some of that, get in a little bit of color. Yeah, and see now with the dark hair, he even reads more Caucasian because that color is always about the contrast between the colors that are nearby. And so yep, so here I go, blammo. I'm just gonna darken up the. And one of the things I did that, because I did that on the layer with a pencil, I actually went into tonal correction and backed off the sort of the saturation of that skin tone, because it was the only thing I had done up to this point on that layer. If I um, didn't have that as the only thing, I would have had to select it and then do that tonal correction, or have had the foresight to jump ahead. You notice that there was a huge jump in color, and I apologize about that. I actually thought I was recording. I tend to record these in little snippets, and I wasn't recording at all. So you got a little bit of a jump there, but basically I'm laying in those colors. And like I said, I wanted really warm colors. Sort of the brass for the breastplate. That's sort of like saffron orange. Sort of to indicate maybe a Tamil culture or Hindu or something like that. I'm darkening up the brigandine Byzantine armor. I don't know what you call that. Trying to go in I didn't like that blue, so let's go in with a darker red here for the gloves. And yeah, just kind of poking around. I wanted the gloves to have some contrast in them because they're touching a lot of reds and a lot of browns and stuff like that. You'll notice I tip um, my frame, and that's just because my wrist works in one way a little bit better, and especially when I'm doing details like the piping around those and the belt and the belt itself. I wanted that tilt. I used to have a Cintiq that would actually physically tilt. My new Huon doesn't have that ability anymore, so I have to digitally tilt it. I actually prefer my Huon to my Cintiq though, just overall. Not that you guys care, but so yeah, I'm working on the sword. Um, yeah, just getting in some yeah, get those reds in there. I want little splotches of reds, little red jewels and stuff like that, and that sort of keep calling back to the idea of a goddess of passion is the patron of this man here. Yeah, just sort of working on the glass here and stuff, and just getting little highlights. Sometimes I let the pencils underneath bleed through and kind of be the darker shades and stuff like that. I had a bear of a time getting a good wine color. I finally got it though. So there I'm sort of smudging the bottom because that area doesn't matter, and I want it to kind of just disappear. Pull out the eye a little bit just because I didn't like it. Clip Studio has a brand new blur tool, and it's freaking awesome because it allows you to. It's not a blur tool; it's actually like a push-pull tool, and you can push lines around and it's great for making just little minor tweaks. I love it. Yeah, I went in there and darkened up the sort of the tunic there underneath, and came back in again. Got a little bit of blue. I like to work in my shadow areas. I like to work a cool, and then in the warm areas, as assuming the light is warm, I'll work in sort of warm highlights. So like in the sleeve there's a lot of gray, and that gray, because it's right next to that orange, instantly turns to like a cool French gray, and I like that. I think that is evocative and just nice and soft, and turns the form in a cool way. Just doing some details here, cleaning up some of my edges. As I've said before, my former painting teacher said painting is the constant negotiation of line, meaning the line separating shapes. Is that line blurry? Is it sharp? is it in the right place? I think that was what he was talking to us students about a lot of time. Is it in the right place? Um, so yeah, we're starting to, I think, cook with some gas here. This is coming along. I also decided at one point that I've been playing around a little bit with Midjourney, and I decided that I was going to do a background for him, and that will be coming up in a little bit. I still have some things I have to do. So I did a background and then kind of painted on top of the background from Midjourney just to kind of futz around and see how good that worked and was it evocative. Um, yeah, I like that buckler. I think that came out well. I like the idea of a buckler for him. I didn't want a big kite shield or something like that because I see this guy as a very urbane character. He grew up in a Baghdad or a Istanbul kind of location, and so that's stuff I'm thinking about as I'm drawing, and stuff you guys can think about when you're making a paladin, a character. You know, does he come from a rural or does he come from a urban area? And because he comes from an urban area, a big kite shield or like that is going to get in the way. So here you can start to see that I'm working on this very simple brigandine type scales going in there. I don't have to spend a lot of time noodling out every single the string or strand that connects all those together, or um, they don't have to be perfect. I'm not really concerned about them being like absolutely perfect in shape. And yeah, I didn't like that little choker there, so I decided to make it red instead of that gray was really kind of dying on him. And oh yeah, and then I bring in this pattern, and so I select everything, and then um, I'm going to make this pattern layer a hard light, and what that does, that layer then reads everything underneath it and just makes it a lighter. And that way, and here I am just sort of selecting out the parts that I don't want to have that pattern, and voila, clean up a little edge there. And so then with the hard light, I actually don't go full opacity. Here I am bringing in, this is initially something I did in Midjourney. I lighten up a lot because I don't want to compete with him too much. And I also think this is part of his character, right? He's a traveler. He's someone who's growing across the continent looking for his one true love. Maybe she's in the city, or maybe he's in the city. I shouldn't, be gender specific here. I I'm taking out some things in the painting I don't like. I'm adding a little bit of texture and stuff like that. Um, just kind of playing around. I needed to back off everything that was behind his face, right? I just sort of wanted to have a slope with sort of some vague sense of foliage and whatnot. I didn't want to have whatever was going on behind his face there. I have no idea what those turquoise green rocks are. I think they're kind of walls. It's a very strange color choice that Midjourney made, and I kind of liked it, and so I left it. And that's one of the things I think Midjourney and Sally and these other AI programs can be useful for, is they make suggestions to you that you're just like, oh, I never would have done that in a million years, but oh, that might be fun to play with. So yeah, so I'm doing this on a layer on top of it, and eventually I'll merge the two layers together when I'm satisfied with kind of where I'm going in terms of, yeah, I wanted to create a little path. Love paths and backgrounds. I love breaking the frame of reference. So the reference is the background, right? And breaking the frame of reference with him as the character calls a lot of attention to him, and I think it's just a fun way of getting both a background in there and also highlighting the character, which I think for character concepts is really important. We want the character to be forward facing. So, yep, here I am just tilting my camera angle in there. The path is getting in there a little better. There's some hard lines in there I didn't quite like. I sort of am screwing around with them, and yeah, it's coming along. And then I sort of move it around. Am I happy with where it is? Do I, cleaning up some softening some edges here and there. I want everything in the background to be really soft. I left some hard line around him purposely to sort of call him out, make him go forward. doing a little fence line there. Yep. I obliterated some weird turquoise building there in the mid ground. Just cleaning up my edges here, play around. There was some weird stuff happening with his hair from the multiply layer I had for the initial outline, and I didn't like that. And I'm having issues with. I accidentally moved the layer and didn't realize where it was, and I had to kind of think about, I have to line everything up again. I felt like that arm was a little too light. And there you have it, a Paladin of Love. If you enjoyed this, please smash that subscribe button. Give a video a like too. That really helps me out a lot. Thank you very much for watching, and till next time, keep on keeping on.